Hey, good morning. Once again, Facebook is not letting me start a video this way. These social media platforms drive me crazy sometimes. I swear, I swear they look for ways to make what you're doing difficult. Like, because it's not Facebook's problem that I want to take my live video and post it to YouTube. For those of you who can't do live sessions with me, it's not their problem. But I don't even know. Why can I not video the prepper way? I don't know. Anyways, here we are, and we're videoing this way again. And I know it's hard to watch for you guys, but I got my yellow Crocs on. We're not gonna be working out in yellow Crocs today. All right, you guys ready? Let's get going. Starting with just some nice, gentle, easy twists. We want to start by introducing a gentle movement, but also just loosening up the spine and the hips and the body in general in a gentle way, not just physically, but mentally as well. Because how many of you guys ever feel like, oh, I don't want to go start my workout? I mean, how many of you feel that? I feel that almost every workout. That's not true. I actually love my workouts, but there's many days where I'm kind of resistant to coming in here, especially if you're new. Maybe you're just starting back to the gym, or maybe you're just starting in the gym in the first place. There is that resistance, right? And so if your mind is kind of conditioned to know that you're going to go in and start at a nice, gentle pace, it's easier to get started. So mentally it's important, but physically it's important too, because you're coming from a state of rest, or what's called homeostasis, right? And if you come in, especially if you are like me, you're over 40, maybe you're almost 50, your body doesn't take to sudden movements or changes very well anymore. It usually means putting your back out or pulling your hamstrings or glutes, right? So we want to gradually introduce movement to the body so that we can gently increase the blood flow, gently increase the heart rate. Moving from one state to another as a middle-aged person requires some finesse and some conservativeness. I don't know, whatever the word is, right? Not like when you're young and you can go from a state of rest to a full sprint, instantly, and nothing bad happens. Bad things happen when we do that in our middle ages. So I'm going to encourage you to take the warm-up as gently and as conservatively and as slowly as you need to. We do 3 rounds of warm-up. This first round is low, no impact. When we've completed the first round, we're going to add a slight bit of hopping. And then on our 3rd round, we're going to add more like jumping. And if you're not ready for either the hopping or the jumping, and you want to keep it to low, no impact like I'm doing right now, you can do all three sets with no low impact. I encourage you to do what's right for you, not what you feel like you're supposed to do. Right? Do what your body tells you. Learn to listen to your body. It will pay off in dividends, particularly if you are middle-aged and aging. Well, we're all aging, aren't we? Even if we're 3 years old, we're aging. But if you're middle-aged and aging, a really valuable skill in life is to learn to listen to your body and do what it's sort of asking of you, instead of forcing it to do things that you think it needs to do. So welcome to the 3rd move session of this week, or fail forward as we're calling this series. Fail was a spin on fall forward, and it refers to the fact that really in any area of our life, whether we're looking at physical fitness and health and wellness, whether we're looking at financial health, whether we're looking at relationships, professional goals, failing forward is a really important thing to be willing to do. In other words, to take risks, to be willing to fail and get back up and try again, right? To not reserve action for when you know success is inevitable, right? I just did a post on my page about my other business, which is a affiliate marketing gig that I do with a supplements company, and how that came across my path a few years ago when I was at a time in my life where I could not imagine doing a single other thing. In fact, I already felt tapped out. I was working a physical job. I was running my own training business, my own coaching business. Plus, I have 4 kids, and at the time, they were becoming very busy. And my husband worked shift work, and we were like passing ships, and we were basically like scheduled our lives around each other so that we could hand off kids, hand off driving duties, all that kind of stuff, right? What I found was I was missing out on a lot of things. I was working the shifts. That meant I was missing out on the sports and stuff. Anyway, long story short, I took a leap of faith into that business, and I made myself vulnerable. I decided that I was willing to do whatever I was sort of told to do by, the coaches in that business and the leaders in that business, and not sort of be willing to put my fear and my doubts aside and be willing to fail forward, be willing to take chances. And lo and behold, a few years later, I am so grateful that I took that chance. And if you think about anything in life that you've done that's really been worth doing, it's involved a leap of faith and willingness to fail. And you might not have nailed it the first time, right? And again, that can apply to, maybe it was, how many races have I DNF'd, did not finish? So many. But the willingness to fail means the willingness to try, and it usually is going to mean that you progress further than if you stay in that space where you can achieve that goal, right? And so wherever you're at right now in your life, whatever you're working on, be willing to fail forward, because you're going to get a heck of a lot further than if you're only ever willing to do things where you can win, right? And so if your goal is to be #better every day, then you need to raise your bar, right? Or my favorite hashtag is be boundless, meaning live life. Is basically what be boundless means, is live life. And that looks different for each of us. We have different values and different priorities, but I will tell you one thing, that none of us were put here to work, pay bills, drive children, and die, right? Like we just weren't. We were here to make an impact on each other in some kind of way. Not that you're not making an impact at work, not that you're not making an impact on your kids by driving them, but you make a profound impact on everybody around you when your sort of life mantra is to be better every day and be willing to take those risks and live, I'm not going to say fearlessly. We all have fears, but our fears are often windows into where we can be better, right? The things we're afraid of are our biggest opportunities to be bigger, be better, expand. If you think, I love these analogies, like I love to think in pictures. In fact, I think we all think in pictures, this is what Bob Proctor says. And I picture living in a bubble, right? We all live in a bubble, but we are in charge of how big that bubble is, right? And some of us keep our bubbles so tiny and still so small, and we live our lives feeling a little bit suffocated and held back and submissive, right? And some of us are just constantly pushing on that bubble to make it bigger and to expand it. And you know, the most successful people in the world have created enormous amounts of space around themselves in that bubble. But the key is to remember that bubble is always expandable. There's no limit to how big we can make our bubble, right? But it is up to us to physically do it. Nobody can do it for you. You can look through your bubble into other people's bubbles and admire their bubbles. I don't really know what I'm talking about today, you guys. I'm feeling very, I don't know what the word is. Inspired. Let's call it inspired. That's a good word. How is everyone feeling today? Is anybody else feeling? Maybe it's the full moon. Oh goodness, what happened here? Maybe it's the full moon that has me feeling so inspired. But I'm feeling inspired today. Feeling inspired this week. I'm feeling inspired to do Tabata again. Because I'm not feeling inspired enough to be more creative than that. But on that note, next week we're only going to have 2 guaranteed classes, Monday and Tuesday next week. I leave Wednesday morning for our second Boundless Pursuits Adventure Retreat. Okay, we're doing a combination of legs and core today. So we're going to start with deadlifts because we haven't done those, and we're gonna do regular deadlifts. Okay, and we're gonna do. We're gonna pair those with. I need some mobility. We're gonna pair those with lunges. Actually, you guys, we're gonna do back lunges today. Okay, hate back lunges. They say back lunges are easier. I do not find them easier. I find them harder. But anyway, okay, I want you guys to think of, in your deadlift, I want you to think of having the weights to the side of your feet. See how my feet are in between the weights? Because what we want to do is drag the weights up our legs, right? The other thing I want you to remember is to keep your weight, your butt is going to go back versus your upper body going forward. Okay, so butt goes back. It's an important part of the deadlift. Keeping the chest out, so boobs out. Again, I was teaching these in a class last night, and I had to just say over and over to the ladies, boobs out, stick those boobs out. I know if you're sticking those boobs out, that your back is not very likely to be rounding. Okay, so we're going into back lunges. And we're alternating legs. I just feel so out of balance. Somebody commented to me once, offering their advice, their unsolicited advice, and I don't remember the context, but they commented that I should do back lunges. They're easier. Again, I don't remember the context of why they were telling me to do something that was easier, but anyway, it's warm today. I thought to myself, that is so not true. And I was in the process of correcting them, and then I thought, I'm gonna Google just to make sure that I was right, and I was wrong. So Google claims that back lunges are easier and they target your glutes and hamstrings more, and that front lunges target your quads. My body must be in opposite land, because I always feel my quads when I'm doing back lunges, and I feel my quads less in front lunges. So anyway, we're just mixing it up a bit. Now, having said that, my butt is still sore from our first workout this week, and so I am feeling it in my butt right now. The other thing I would like to say today on the note of failing forward is just to kind of expand on failure for a second. determine or define failure, we tend to determine something a failure when it didn't turn out the way we wanted, or the outcome that we wanted or were expecting was not met. And yet I have learned a valuable mantra in life that I don't just use lightly, that I literally live by every day. And I call upon, particularly in instances when things do not turn out the way I was thinking or hoping. So just to back up for a second, we like to hold in our minds what we think is the right way or the right path. And we have to remember that that's not always the best thing for us, right? It's just what we want or we expect. And so when things go a different way for us, that's not necessarily an indication that we're failing. It's an indication that there's a different plan for us. And often in the moment we aren't too happy about it, and we deem it failure because it's not what we planned, not what we wanted. And yet, if you look back in hindsight on your life, on the instances where things went a different way than you expected, how many of those instances have led you to like where you are today, or a better place, and you kind of look back and go, thank God I didn't get what I wanted in that moment. I am so grateful that I was led in a different direction. So I'll use an example, and this is why this is sort of top of mind right now. We are going to do some more deadlifts. It's deadlift day. We're going to do all, so what you're going to do, hopefully you guys can see this okay. One foot is beside the weight, and one foot is behind the weight. We're going to lean, again, butts are going back, chest is staying out, and we're going to pull with just one side, and then we're going to alternate with the other side. The reason this is so top of mind right now is because one of my kids experienced, a couple kind of, we'll call them setbacks, or, things that weren't ideal, things that we weren't expecting. Things came out of left field. So one of them was he got cut from his college baseball team. And it was really untimely. Like, it was literally, he had already gone back to school. He had signed his lease for his living. So he lived about 4 hours away from home. He was at this school to play baseball, obviously for school as well. But the school can, he could find schooling a lot closer to home. He chose this school for baseball. So he had moved back to school to start baseball season, and had been to a number of practices. And every year, and I would say most colleges do this, they hold open tryouts where anybody can come and try out for the team. And the coach decided to take some walk-ons, and he cut Riley. Riley was about to start his third year playing for this team. And, well, first of all, we were very shocked. Every single one of us was shocked. We had no idea that was coming. None. It was a blindside for, I would say, all three of us. And upsetting to say the least, right? Especially for him. And it came on the heels of his car accident. He had just bought his first car, and 2 weeks later got into a fender bender that resulted in writing off his car. Anyway, so it was just like, you could see how one could look at both of those things and really be down and think, the world is against me. Why is everything happening to me? Right? And this is often our mindset when things aren't going the way we expected them to or wanted them to, is we think, why do things happen to me? And Bob Proctor taught me things don't happen to you, they happen for you. And that includes the bad things. And like, we're the ones that assign that meaning to those things being bad, right? Like, we're the ones that deemed them bad. I mean, there's not much that you could say that's good about writing off a car you just bought. I haven't figured out really what the for him part that was in terms of that incident, but in terms of being cut from the team, it meant we all had to spring into action very quickly and make some changes. We didn't have a lot of time to think. We didn't have a lot of time to research. We didn't have a lot of time to, field options, so to speak. It was like you really had to act. All of us had to act on instinct and intuition and make decisions very quickly, big decisions very quickly. So he decided to move back home, transfer schools. He reached out to a couple different schools that were close enough to home, and one responded right away. Super thrilled to welcome him on the team, and he's having right now what I would call his breakout year for baseball for his entire life. At, in third year, which, my other son is in grade 12 looking for his path beyond high school, and it's not unfolding the way any of us would plan or would like, but I'm constantly finding myself going back to the saying, which I said before all of this, and I haven't told you yet, because I'm very long-winded, is everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. Our job in life is to figure out what that reason is for each kind of thing that happens to us. Now, we don't bother trying to figure out why things happen when they're things that we want to happen. We're going to do a couple sets of, we're going to do those marches. Forgot that's what I wanted to do today. So my mind just went blank when I came in here. We're going to do marches. And we're going to do farmers' walks. I totally lied. We're going to do marches on one side and then marches on the other side. So what I'm going to try, something new. Now, your marches can be with no weights. They can just be marches. You can have 2 weights or 1 weight holding. I'm going to try having 1 up and 1 down and marching. Okay, these are core. This is a core exercise. So I'm going to grab, this is what I'm going to try. I'm trying something new, you guys. Again, you don't have to try new things. It is warm in here today. I mean, I should be grateful for that because we have a weekend of baseball coming up. But anyway, the long story short, after I already made this short story long, is, okay, ready? Going. Is that everything happens for a reason. We don't bother finding the reason in the things that we, feel like happened the way we wanted them. But the goal is to figure out why things happen when they go in a different direction, right? And so that's where my mind goes now when things are not playing out the way I want them. I'm fully aware, I believe in universal energy leading me. And so my job is to always try to figure out, where am I being led? Where am I being called? Where, to think of it more sort of practically, where is your service needed? Right? We all have unique gifts to offer, right? Some of us are, I know people who are the most amazing kindergarten teachers or the most amazing caregivers. Or I had my teeth cleaned the other day and I marveled at how good the hygienist was. She was amazing. She's probably one of the best hygienists I've ever been to. You could tell, really loved her job. I couldn't do that. You know, we all have different skills, different strengths, different gifts, and our job's to figure out, like, how can we use those to make the biggest impact while we're here, right? And we can make an impact. I'll tell you another story. I haven't spoken much openly about this, but a good, I want to say friend, somebody I used to work for, very suddenly died a couple of weeks ago. It was very shocking and honestly still disturbing to me because he was the epitome of health, one thought. He was the owner of a small community running store that I used to work for, and upon his passing, the outpouring of, I don't know, what's the word? The outpouring, let's just call it that, was overwhelming. And it was such an eye-opener. This man has impacted the running community so tremendously, probably more than anybody that I know. And all from a small store. And it's because he always took time to talk to people and help them with their running and make them feel good, encourage them. And he was also a tremendous connector. So the number of people that I know in the running community that I met through either his store or his teams, his presence, his influence. And when we think of influence and when we think of impact, we think, oh, social media or famous, right? And yet this man had no social media presence whatsoever, and impacted like a celebrity, truly. And so it's really thought-provoking to me to realize the impact that we have on a daily basis just with the people that we encounter and how we treat them and how we make them feel, and the trickle effect that that has through those people, right? Like you make an impact on one person, they turn around and make an impact on other people. How much reach we really have just as one little person, which we don't often feel that way, right? Okay. I know we did these Tuesday and my butt is still sore from them, but I want to do our 747s, but we're going to add a row to them today. So if you're new or a beginner, be close to a wall or something that you can use for balance, and you want that hind leg. I want you to think of squeezing that glute, especially at the top couple inches of the movement. And if you want to try doing these with a weight, you can add the weight. Yep, there it goes. Okay? And you can add a row. And we're not going to get very many reps because we're only doing 20 seconds. This is an advanced move that requires quite a bit of balance, and you may find that you're more balanced on one side than the other. So I got 4 in on that side, and so the goal is for me. Now this is a lot to think about if you're adding the row. So this is an advanced move that I only encourage you to do if you've got full balance and control, and if not, to stick with doing it with no weight or don't do the row. You can also use your arm for balance, which I just lost mine. We were doing these in class this week, and I commented on how much work I've done on these over the last year, and how in 2022 I could not do these, and how much, woo, my body has changed this year in response to some dietary changes and really focusing on, you know, anything that's going into my body being really whole food based. Sometimes that means I make things. I made coconut banana breakfast cookies yesterday. I added a few chocolate chips to make them a little bit more of a treat. But the only thing processed really that I eat these days is crispy minis. I have as my chip substitute. I used to eat chips. Oh, this side is giving me trouble. Every day. Every night I would have chips and wine. Every single night. And you wonder why I was inflamed and also 20 pounds heavier, right? That's it. No, we got one more on each side. And you know, I always justified that because I thought I work out so much, right? I was training for ultra running, so I was running a ton, I was working out. I deserve it. I deserve a treat. You know what my body deserved? Was my body deserved food that wasn't really breaking it down when I was demanding so very much of it, right? And it's interesting because our minds think when we're struggling. So whether it's, you know, you have a lot of stress in your life, a lot on your plate, you're going through really hard times, right? You're going through a divorce, or you're going through custody, with getting custody of your kids, or I was lifting 25 pounds, I thought I was lifting 20. You know, financial stress, job stress, and, or, you know, so a dear friend has passed. And our minds say, you deserve to have all the things that you shouldn't have. And when you think about that, like, if you take emotion out of it, because we like the things that we shouldn't have, you're doubling up on the stress. So because you're so stressed, you're like, I'm gonna add a whole bunch more stress because I deserve that. Doesn't even make sense. I caught myself saying to my husband recently, okay, we're gonna do core, we're gonna do bird dog and dead bugs. They're my favorite. I don't have my bands in here, unfortunately. Normally I would use my bands for these. He had a lot of stress last year with his parents both passing and having to deal with the estate and his family and whatnot. Okay, so we're going to do 4 sets of these and then 4 sets of dead bugs. So these are called bird dogs, and you're going to be alternating. Now, if you're having trouble with balance, just do one leg at a time and don't do the arms. Okay, so this is beginner. You're going to just straighten out your leg. Once you have that, you can add the arm. You're just straightening out and extending that leg, squeezing the glute at the top. Pulling that core in. Okay, we're going to do 4 sets like that. So he was under a lot of stress, and he was stress eating, and he was stress drinking, and he was a little bit out of control. And it's a sensitive topic to bring up, but one day I finally managed to broach the topic of, you know, what are you doing to yourself? That is clearly not how I said it. And he knew he was off the rails, but he said, I'm so stressed, and I said to him, you understand that that's not helping you, right? Like, in times of stress, in times of duress, you need your health more than ever. So if you are struggling in other areas in your life, that's the time when you need to eat the cleanest, you need to drink all the water, you need to cut out or cut back on alcohol, you need to move your body, right? Those things give to you, they don't take from you, but we have it the other way around. We think of things that we shouldn't have as things that give to us, and we're deceived by that, right? Like, we think, oh, I love wine, is so delicious, it makes me feel so good. You know, pizza, fries, poutine, fish and chips, you know, sweets, they all make me feel so good. No, they don't. They make your brain think it feels good, right? And that's a whole other topic, is, you know, the temporary feeling. I don't know what set we're on. We're going to do all 8 sets of this, and then we'll do all 8 sets of dead bug, because I lost track. I could look at the clock, but these are my favorite. I do these every day. I started doing them with bands, but my bands are inside because I do these with bands every day in my house. Really good, and not a painful thing to do. They're tricky as a beginner. It took me a while to be able to do these. You can make them harder by hovering your knee. I'm not even gonna try that right now. I'm not there. Those things have our brain tricked into thinking that they are our friends. And, you know, kale is the enemy. And chicken breast is not our friend. It's like, not our enemies, but we're like, I don't really want to hang out with those guys. We want to hang out with the fun guys, which is like all the bad things. And if I'm feeling bad, I deserve to be with the good things, not the bad things. And we just have it so backwards. The thing is, we can cope with things a lot better when we are providing our body with the good things. And it takes, you know, being responsible. It's like we tell our kids, you know, you have a big, you know, game coming up. You need to get to bed early. You know, you're going to be up late this weekend because of blah, blah, blah. You need to get to bed early. You're going to be, you know, eating all those Halloween candies, so you need to have a healthy dinner. It's like we need to make those decisions in that same manner for ourselves, but we don't. We are like children given free reign of doing whatever we want as adults, and we don't make the decisions for ourselves. Actually, funny story. No, I have trained myself. It does kind of come down to a paradigm. I mean, I know people who have chips for dinner, and like and this comes from my upbringing, this comes from the way I was raised. Like, I can have chips, but I gotta have my dinner first. Anyways, we were away, my son and I were away recently. So same thing with this one. You're gonna start with the legs. Once you have the legs, you add the arms. I'm doing them wrong. There we go. See? It takes a moment. It's opposite leg, opposite arm. Notice that the arm that's not moving stays still. Yesterday people were doing this. It's okay to just do the legs. That's where the core work is coming from anyway. We were at this crazy mall called, I think it was called Destiny Mall in Syracuse. and it had go-karting, it had trampoline, it had not zip lining, I guess, what do you call it? Like treetop trekking, that's kind of what it was. It had, what else? Laser tag, arcades, like a merry-go-round. It had everything. It was insane. It had an outlet mall, and then it had a regular mall. It had Dave & Buster's in it. It was insane. Anyway, I'm making a short story long again. The point of my story was, one of the things that I said I was allowed to have, there's a few little indulgences that I was going to partake in after running my 200 mile. I didn't want to do it before my 200 mile because, again, the purpose behind the way I eat is to feel good, is to not have inflammation, is to sleep well, is to not be bloated, not to have digestive stress, you know, to give my body all of the best tools to feel my very best. I value that. I really value my energy and my mood, and I know also how dangerous those things are for me. You know, I have ice cream and then I want it again. Have wine and then I want it again. I have chips, I want it again. Like, those things are highly addictive to me, and when I don't have them, I don't really miss them, but when I have them, I overdo them. And so it's easier for me, I found, to just be in a place where I don't have them, and I find other ways to have my indulgences, so to speak, like my, you know, healthy versions of cookies and healthy, anyway, I was going to have a few little indulgences after Mary's. Chick-fil-A was one, which I have to say, anytime I've had Chick-fil-A, I was like, Chick-fil-A is life. This time I had it and it was very disappointed. It just was not life like I remember it. And I ate it anyways, but I thought I really don't need to have that again. Side note, I have a theory that our taste buds can change. I think it's been so long, and I have that stuff so infrequently now that it really doesn't taste good anymore. I mean, some things do. So I'm at this mall. One of the things that I had on my little list of things I wanted to have was rolled ice cream. If you haven't tried rolled ice cream yet, Google it. It's just basically very labor-intensive a very labor-intensive ice cream shop. I found there was a rolled ice cream. Of course there was a rolled ice cream place in this place. And so it was lunchtime, and I thought I should have, you know, my intuition, my instinct, my internal value system was screaming at me, have a salad or have something for lunch and then have my ice cream. And logically, I'm thinking, I'm gonna have my lunch. I'm gonna be too full for ice cream. I'm not gonna want, but I want the ice cream. So why not just have it? And I still feel guilty now for having ice cream for lunch. And I said at the baseball game later, like, I had ice cream because they found me when I was looking for lunch in the mall. They said, did you find lunch? I said, I had ice cream for lunch. And I'm so embarrassed and felt so guilty. And it's literally something I never do. That is it. We're at 10:15. Let's finish, because it's Thursday, and we always do these on Thursdays. We're going to finish with a Copenhagen, but just 30 seconds per side. And during those 30 seconds, I'm going to try a new way of doing them. So hang tight here. I am all about my Copenhagens. I introduced them to my class the other day. They were horrified with me. And I didn't even make them do the hard ones. I showed them the beginner ones. But this is literally one of my favorite moves right now. I just realized something, that videoing these videos this way, I can actually use these video clips. Anyways, I'm just babbling right now. All right, 30 seconds per side. That Bosu looks so close, and I think to myself, I'm a lot shorter than I realized. There's a young man playing baseball yesterday who they commented that he was not very tall. They didn't say it like that. They said it very politely. At 5'3". I thought to myself, oh, that's my height. I saw the guy, and I don't know if it's just because he's a guy. He looked very, very short compared to, many of the baseball players are like 6 feet. And I said to my husband, oh my goodness, is that how short I actually am? I'm a lot shorter than I realized. Okay, here we go. Hang on. I'm trying to get the timer. All right, let's just hang tight. Let's wait till the timer goes. I'm apparently not as sure as I thought. I saw this on Instagram. I've been wanting to try it. I'm already regretting this. Okay, I gotta fix my camera because I want these. Okay, 2 seconds and going. Holding, squeezing that lower leg up. We got 16 seconds left. Man, this is the slowest 30 seconds I've ever lived in my life. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I gotta move this over before we do our other side. Getting ready. Okay, again, these are advanced, so you can be doing side plank as an option instead of these. 10 seconds till go time. I'm trying to do the ones where both legs are on, here we go. My feet are sandwiching, there we go. This is what I was trying to do on the other side. Maybe the longest 30 seconds ever. Breathing through it. Now, the easier way to do these is with your leg bent. So your knee is on. 5 seconds to go. Holding. Oh my God. And that is a wrap. Can you believe my son does those with weights on his feet? Gosh. All right, thanks for joining me, and I will see you ladies on Monday next week, Monday, Tuesday. Have a great weekend.